Acapulco, Mexico. Behind the camera, this is Josh Friedman speaking with Thomas Walls, the Foreign Minister of the Free Republic of Liberland. Mr. Minister, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's great to be with you, Josh.
So we find ourselves at quite the celebration of liberty here at Anarchapulco in Mexico. What do you think of this event, really quickly?
Oh, I've been wanting to come for years. It's great to meet, see old friends and new friends here. It's just my ideas and their ideas and everything in between coming together here in Acapulco. Great setting, great, it's a tropical paradise. And what better place to discuss the ideas of liberty and technology and how we're going to move forward in the future.
Okay, well, for this interview, though, we're going to be discussing the Balkans, as that actually is where Liberland is situated, and it's at least my home base at the moment. Can you update the audience right now on where things stand with Liberland? How are things going with recognition and the settlement of Liberland?
Well, we're putting together a global team, and our core team, a lot of whom are here at the conference this time, we have very concrete plans to obtain recognition from several countries right now. We do have a home base right across the river from Liberland in Apatin, Serbia. As some of you may know, we've had issues with Croatian police blockading Liberland, but nonetheless, we've got a good team on the ground in Serbia, very close to Liberland, and we have a presence on the water in ships and boats and basically people living there.
Where do things stand with the Croatian police?
If
this blockade is still on, is this preventing people from actually accessing Liberland?
Yeah, they are under orders from the Interior Ministry, who basically commands the border police to not let anyone into the area, even Croatians. Liberland is not on any Croatian maps, nor has it ever been on any of their maps. However, they would like to retain the right to use it as a bargaining chip in their border dispute with Serbia. So they are not comfortable with letting people into Liberland.
You mentioned that Croatia has a border dispute with Liberland, of course with Liberland, but also with Serbia. And at the moment, these border disputes in the Balkans are becoming a very big issue, particularly as it relates to the integration of the Western Balkans into the European Union. The European Union has said that it's now the policy of theirs that these Western Balkan countries need to figure out their border disputes prior to them entering the EU. So where does Liberland play in this greater issue of border problems in the Western Balkans?
Well, we're familiar with those issues in the EU. Mr. Juncker said we're not going to import any more border disputes. A lot of Balkan countries, including Croatia and including some of the other nations, have border disputes, and some of them are closer to being solved than others. I think the Croatia-Serbia border dispute has been going on for over 25 years, and I don't think they'll solve it anytime soon, even though there's been some talk by Mr. Vučić and his counterparts in Croatia of trying to solve that in order to get that obstacle out of the way to joining the EU. Of course, a lot of them want to join the EU. They want access to the common market. They want visa-free access to the Schengen zone. And there's some pressure on part of potential allies like Hungary said, well, why don't we admit them anyway? Like the new countries such as Kosovo and Macedonia, they want to bring them into the Union as well. So we understand the push behind that. Where we fit in is we would like a seat at the table when Croatia and Serbia finally resolve their dispute. We want a seat at the table.
Realistically, do you see yourself getting a seat at that table anytime soon, and if so, how?
Well, we're putting together an international legal team who is familiar with border disputes and attorneys who have worked on border dispute issues in the past. And by assembling this professional team and committing resources to have full-time lawyers and attorneys and experts who do deal in such issues on our side. And by that time, which has taken a long time for them to come to the table, we want a seat at that table. Now, of course, publicly, particularly the Croatian side says they don't take it seriously, but we have a lot of tools that we've put together. We've got a 6-part study that shows the benefits economic benefits and other benefits that Liberland can bring to the region. People are leaving that area of Croatia right next to us at a rate of 100 people a day to go to the coast for tourism jobs, go to Germany for service and factory jobs. We want to show them we can bring financial and technological and tourism jobs to the region, and we already have. We actually have in Apatin, Serbia, we hire people to manage our fleet of ships. We have people who run hospitality industries such as B&Bs and driving people around and showing them the great things they can see in the region, taking them on the river in boats. So we're already bringing economic growth to the region, and with free trade zones, with bringing more people there, I think we can show them that we can bring growth and stop people from their exodus from the region.
Not only have there been border disputes that are ongoing, but the ethnic tensions have seemingly been heating up a bit in the region.
Yeah.
In Bosnia, in Kosovo, and Macedonia, there's been a fair amount of political violence in recent years.
Yeah.
Is this concerning at all to you with Liberland being positioned so close to that?
Yes, it is. Our approach with the different ethnic groups and different nationalities to take a neutral but friendly approach with them, and that's difficult. You know, you have each individual group and their concerns. We would like to understand their concerns and suggest peaceful resolutions to their problems. I mean, maybe there are, maybe we can play a mediating role in some of the disputes. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to overcome centuries of enmity that may exist between some of them. So, but we would like to play a peaceful role in that and bring people together rather than drive them apart. We're a global team. Some of us from the Balkans, some of us from other parts of Europe, some of us are from the United States or other places. We would like to encourage dialogue rather than tension.
You yourself are from the United States, correct?
Yes.
So how does that work? That you're the foreign minister of Liberland, but are you currently living in the U.S.?
I'm living in the U.S., but I travel in my role as foreign minister. I spent a good bit of time in Germany. I worked for the U.S. Embassy in Germany under Richard Holbrooke, who himself, as Undersecretary of European Affairs, brought the former Yugoslav republics together to sign the Dayton Accords. He also brokered peace between Kosovo and Serbia when after war broke out there. So I was proud to work under him when he was the ambassador to Germany. Although he unfortunately passed away some years ago, he's still an inspiration to what I do in my role as a diplomat for Liberland.
Were you involved at all in the crafting of the Dayton Accord?
No, I only worked for Richard Holbrooke when he was the ambassador to Germany.
Do you have some sort of take right now as the Liberland foreign minister on the Dayton Accord, or for that matter, how Bosnia is constructed?
Yeah, it sure does. We've talked to some people in the area. We've talked to Bosnians. We've talked to people from Republika Srpska. It's holding together. I mean, they're not fighting anymore. Of course, there was a referendum in Republika Srpska about, that was held not too long ago. And of course, there's still national passions, national aspirations that will still be there a long time to come, but we're making friends with them. I've met their representative in the United States, and they've been very friendly with us of Republika Srpska. We've met Bosnian folks all over who have connections to, for example, the old royal family in Bosnia. That's very interesting. We would like to connect to all parties there and see how we can make a difference there. We would like to bring chambers of commerce to Bosnia or to different areas, to Kosovo, to Serbia, to Albania, Macedonia, Montenegro, other Balkans, like Greece. We consider Greece part of the Balkans as well. We would like to have relations there too.
Greece right now is at the table with Macedonia, so it's interesting just the extent of the border disputes right now in the Balkans. Are any of these countries or groups emerging as allies of Liberland?
Yes, we have great allies in Serbia. We have great allies in Slovenia. Our Slovenian representative made a great presentation to the Chamber of Commerce in Ljubljana just the other day on what Liberland can bring to the region. We have a great amount of applicants for citizenship from all of our neighboring countries. So and we hope to, build great teams in those countries and in other Balkan countries as well.
There's been a lot of talk in the West and a lot of concern about with somewhat limited or decreasing influence of the U.S. and the EU in the region that other powers, for instance Russia or Turkey,
yes,
to some extent China,
yes,
albeit that's more financial, would step in. And there's allegations that are to some extent documented that Russia, for instance, attempted a coup in Montenegro. I mean, that's just one example, but there are lots of allegations of Russian attempts to undermine integration of the region, or Turkey getting more interested. What is the Liberland position on foreign powers coming into the Balkans? Do you see this as an issue?
Well, it definitely exists. There's no denying that they all have a strategy. The U.S. has a Balkan strategy. Russia has a Balkan strategy. Turkey, as you mentioned, has a Balkan strategy. When we were in Sarajevo, we saw a lot of signage in Turkish. We saw a lot of billboards that had flights to Istanbul. Of course, they've had, as part of the Ottoman Empire, so they have deep roots that go back centuries there. So all these different regions of power have interest in the Balkans. Our interest, we're a small country. We're admittedly, a small team, but we want to be meaningful in what we do there. And yes, we do have a strategy there. We do have people who have reached out to us in Montenegro, in Macedonia, who want to have ties with us. A lot of the students for Liberty crowd, they're very young, but we have law students who are studying international law who want to be on our team. We have former diplomats, former statesmen, active statesmen in some cases, who want to be part of the Liberland team. So it's very interesting, and I think we have a lot of potential. As we put together a core Balkans team, that will crystallize.
The diplomatic conflicts, particularly over Montenegro, but largely the entire Western Balkans between the West and Russia, is largely about NATO expansion and NATO taking over the region, and how each country or each chip or domino is going to align militarily.
Yes.
What is your stance on that, and how does Liberland fit into the defense and security picture?
Certainly, we've talked. Croatia's a NATO country. We have many NATO countries, but some still have ties with Russia. Hungary, for example, in many ways they're close to the West, but they're also fostering ties with Russia at the same time. It's not an either-or proposition. I think we can work several angles with that. As far as security goes, we've actually had talks. We were just in the UK. We were invited by the Ministry of Defence to tour the Royal Artillery Barracks in Greenwich, and we had a very interesting conversation with the Colonel about cybersecurity and challenges for the 21st century as far as defense and security is concerned. Of course, Liberland is not really going to have a military per se. We'll probably have to have some kind of agreement with Croatia and or Serbia on security. As far as us playing a leading role and stuff, I don't see us playing a huge role in that, but we have concerns with our neighbors and with the region as a whole.
Well, in terms of security, and as suggested possibly agreements with Croatia and Serbia, what might those entail?
We need to have an agreement with Croatia about the border. We need to sign treaties with them that say we won't have container ships full of drugs arriving at our port and bringing that into Liberland. We'll have to have an extradition treaty with them in case some criminals try to escape to a zone where Croatians can't touch them. We'll have to have these kind of agreements with our neighbors to foster good relations and to show our goodwill that we're willing to be on the level with them and play ball with them.
In terms of raw defense, what will be the defense against a police force or a military or even militants coming in?
We'll have a very we'll have a very minimal force that consists of maybe a homegrown militia in Liberland, which will provide security for the defense of Liberland and nothing else. I mean, we wouldn't have the power to attack anybody else. That would just be for self-defense. I think it would be limited to people who it would be made up of the citizens themselves. So we wouldn't have tanks or flak guns or anything like that. We would have a local militia force that would be our defense. And possibly, like Monaco has an agreement with France for defense. They don't have a military. They have Carabinieri, who provide security and defense within Monaco. But they don't have, you know, an air force or tanks or anything of that nature. But they do have, you know, guards and things like that who provide security.
Lastly, in terms of diplomacy, I'm interested in where things stand in your relations with the EU, particularly as it relates to your status or lack thereof as a tax haven. The EU has expressed increasing concern about various tax havens around the world, and it's gone to the extent of putting together a list. And if indeed Liberland does prosper, I would think that that would be some sort of tax haven right in the EU's backyard.
Well, we're outside of the EU, so our tax policy is not necessarily their concern. But, you know, we're not going to be a tax haven, we're going to be a tax heaven. Our tax system is basically voluntary and based on things like voluntary contributions and registration fees from companies. So it won't necessarily be a haven where you can anonymously, you know, stash away stuff that you owe in a European country. Of course, you know, the people who have connections already know where to put their money, and that probably won't be in Liberland, you know. We take seriously money laundering concerns and know your customer concerns. You know, we're going to be on the level and above ground and, you know, play ball with legitimate concerns about, you know, money laundering and things like that. So I don't think, you know, Switzerland's not part of the EU, and they're considered a tax haven, yet they function rather well right in the middle of Europe.
What is Liberland's current relations with the EU?
Well, we have great relations with EU countries. With the EU itself, I think we've brought members of European Parliament to Liberland, as a matter of fact. That we did bring a member of Parliament from the EU, and they couldn't arrest him because he had diplomatic immunity. He actually went to Liberland, and the Croatian police detained him, but he presented his credentials, and they couldn't arrest him. So I think we have good relations with the EU, including Parliament. We're certain factions in the Parliament, and they take an interest in how we're doing and developing relations with different EU countries and different structures within the EU.
Any last thoughts on the Balkans and the region as a whole?
Well, we would like to be an example in bringing growth and business and jobs to the region. And I think with free trade zones, I think Liberland's going to be a great free trade zone, that we can provide an example that very limited taxes, limited tariffs will encourage more growth than we've ever seen before. Right now, economic growth is strangled. The tax policies are different, the regulations are different. We want to have a model that others can benefit from and prosper from, that'll benefit the peoples of the region, all of them.
All right, thank you very much, Foreign Minister. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Great, Josh. Anytime you want to talk, we'll be available.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.